Size-wise, a cell is about as big as a parking space. Very often the lights are on for 24 hours a day. If anyone here has a family member with mental illness, you are aware of how critical sleep is for anyone suffering from mental health issues. People in solitary can find it difficult to sleep or even to rest. They can become disoriented, not knowing the time, date, or even whether it is night or day. If recreation is permitted in Rhode Island, it takes place in quote-unquote rec pens. These are barren cages that are roughly in size to a large dog kennel. Some prisoners have no exercise or outdoor time for months on end. As a matter of policy, individuals are shackled, cuffed, and strip searched when they leave their cells, even for routine appointments such as medical. These strip searches are degrading and humiliating. It is small wonder that individuals with mental illness or a history of trauma may refuse to leave their cells if that is what they must endure and able to do so. Contact visits and telephone calls are rare, if they are allowed at all. People in solitary confinement can go for months without touching another human being. Since normal communication and talking is impossible, individuals can end up yelling in a futile attempt to be heard. They may scream, rattle, and kick at their doors in desperation. There is no relief for any of these stressors. This can continue for weeks, months, and even years. Despite knowing the documented harms of solitary confinement, the Rhode Island Department of Corrections subjects prisoners with severe mental illness to solitary even when they engage in desperate acts of self-harm and self-mutilation. You can read multiple examples of this in our complaint. The most widely documented consequences of solitary are its psychological effects, as Amy was speaking about. These include anxiety, ranging from stress to full-blown panic attacks, depression, increased anger ranging from irritability to outbursts of violence, cognitive disturbances including disorientation and hallucinations, paranoia, and psychosis, including increased risk of suicide and self-harm. And with all this research at our fingertips, people in solitary confinement receive minimal contact with mental health clinicians at the Rhode Island Department of Corrections. Professional mental health contact often consists only of brief, quote, cell front encounters in which the staff member shouts through the cell door at the prisoner. Many prisoners reported that meetings with mental health staff often occur within earshot of both officers and other prisoners, and they do not feel comfortable discussing such private matters in an open setting.
The harm from solitary confinement undermines recovery and the ability to live well and reintegrate into the community. I have read of cases where people were one moment in solitary confinement and the next moment released into the community with no support for the transition. An Oasis member who was incarcerated in solitary confinement at the ACI says that the experience made him feel that he was alone in having his mental illness and kept him focused on the his symptomatic thoughts with no relief. It was only later that he knew that he had peers who were going through the same things that he was, and after a long struggle, he has been able to recover to the point where he is contributing to society in a relationship and working to support himself. Rhode Island can and must do better for its citizens with mental health disabilities. It costs more to keep someone in solitary at the ACI than it does to keep them in mental health treatment, and our funding streams should reflect this to save on costs and promote recovery at the same time. Everyone should be able to access the least restrictive environment that will promote recovery.